It's time to work on the dimensional bees to go along with our tree and our beehive. Let's work on the bee wings and the bees. The bee wings are on page 29, and we will be using mylar and tulle. They are a form of freestanding lace, so I have hooped some wash-away stabilizer. I'll be using a 4x4 hoop, and we'll be doing all 4 wings at the same time. Let's get started. I'll be combining the 3D bee wings into one hooping. Let's open Embrilliance, go to Merge Stitch File, and go to the Embroidery file and select the bee wing. We'll double click to add it to our hoop. I will copy and paste to make another wing. Then I will copy and paste both wings to make 2 more. I will change my hoop size to a 4x4 by selecting the Preferences folder on the top toolbar, selecting the 4x4 hoop, clicking Apply, and OK. On the top toolbar, go to Utility, then Color Sort. You can see our design has been reduced by 9 color changes. Click on New View and the design will be opened in a new tab. This new tab will have all 4 wings merged into one design. If we run the Stitch Simulator, now you can see how each step will run on all 4 wings before moving to the next. Go to File, Save Stitch File As, and we'll name our new design. We'll save it into our Spring Showers Combined Files folder and click Save. I'll add this file to my USB so that I can access it from my machine. I'll open up my USB and select the design from my Combined Files folder. I'll scroll down until I find our 4 bee wings. I'll click Set and then Embroidery. I'll run the first step, which is the placement line for the 4 wings. Now I'll tape a layer of mylar, a layer of tulle, and another layer of mylar over the placement lines for the wings. Now I'll run the fill stitch for the 4 wings. The mylar tears easily, so I will remove the first layer of mylar by tearing around each of the wings. Then I will use scissors to cut the layer of tulle. The reason I don't cut the mylar is I get a better result when I tear it. And then I'll tear away the last layer of mylar. To finish the wings, I will run the final outline detail. The wings are done, and now I need to remove the excess wash-away stabilizer. I will use scissors and trim away most of the stabilizer around each wing. Then I will spray the wings with water and the stabilizer will start to disappear. I'll trim little excess threads off and we'll have the 3D bee wings. I'll set these aside to dry. Now let's work on the bees on page 30. Now that we're done with all the dimensional wings, we need to start the bees. Let's get going. Let's open Embrilliance so we can work on the bees. We will be combining the 4 bees and the background quilting into one hoop. We will be color sorting, so all the same steps will run together instead of doing one bee at a time. The first thing we need to do is open the background quilting. We'll merge stitch file. We'll go to the quilting bundle. We'll go to the geometric 3 and we'll choose the 2x2. Then we'll merge stitch file. Go to the quilting bundle and pick the orange pill design and select the 2x2. We can see that the 4x4 hoop that we have is much too small, so we'll go to the preferences. We'll pick our 7x12" hoop, click apply and OK. Now we need to bring the entire hoop into our screen. So we go to the compass, click on H, and then our whole hoop is in our screen where we can see. We brought our two quilting designs in. They are always centered. So we just need to move them apart. And we have 4 bees. 2 will be on this design, the orange peel. So we will copy and paste it right on top. So we'll move that over. Then we'll select the other design and paste it and move it over. Now before we color sort, we're going to bring our bees in. Go to merge stitch file. Go to the embroidery files. And we have 4 bees. You can just open them one by one. Merge stitch file again. Get the second bee. Merge stitch file. Now these 2 bees are the same except they're facing different directions. I'm going to show you I'm going to do a little bit different than the quilt. So I'm going to add just one of these bees. I'll bring him in and then I'm going to copy and paste him. And I'm going to show you what I do different than the quilt and why they will be facing the same direction. And then this bee at the top on the right, I'm actually going to flip it to be the same direction as this bee. I'll select it, and up at the top, this little window is to flip horizontal. So now you can see I have these 2 bees facing in this direction and the 2 chevron bees facing in the opposite direction. Here's why I made changes to the direction of the bees when I was working in Embrilliance. The original quilt on the left from Kimberbell has the chevron bees both at the bottom. I wanted my chevron bees to be separated. That's why I needed both bees to go in the same direction. And then I had to flip the other bee to the opposite direction. Now we need to center these bees with the background quilting. You can see that the bee has an outline that we will not use, but it will be helpful to center within the quilting design. We just will overlap till those outside lines are the same on all 4 bees. So now that we've got the bees and the quilting designs where we want them, we're going to remove the bees for just a minute so we can color sort or combine the background quilting so that they will all run the same steps together. So we need to select all 4 bees, and we'll come over to the right hand side where we have each step listed, and we're just going to condense all of the designs so that they're easier to see. So we need to select the 4 bees. So if you click the first bee and then hold your shift key down and click the last bee, all 4 will be selected. We're going to copy, then we're going to go up to the left-hand corner on the toolbar and we're going to make a new page. We're going to right click and paste, and they will paste in the exact same spot where they were on the other page, and that's very important. So we're going to leave these bees here for a minute and go back to our quilting where we have both the bees in the background quilting, and we still have the 4 bees selected, and we're going to go ahead and delete those because we've copied and pasted them onto a new page. Now it's time to color sort these, because right now if you look in this bottom right hand corner, there's 20 steps. And if you want to see how the steps are, look at the across the top and you'll see. And you can run the stitch simulator and you'll watch how each background quilting is done from start to finish for each one. Well, we don't really want that because we'll have to stop and start, and we want to do each step the same at the same time for each of the 4 background quilting pieces. So in order to do that, we need to color sort. Now it's very important that we don't move these because the bees, when we bring them back in, will go right over the same. They'll be centered, and so we don't want to move these. So we want to go up to Utility and Color Sort, and you'll notice that it's changed by 17 stops, 17 color changes. We always want to click a new view just in case we need to make some changes. So now you'll see up here we have 3 things open. The one that it just opened is our new view, and you can see over here now it's just one design. Instead of having 4 separate quilting designs, we just have one design with 4 different items. And to make sure it did what we want, we'll go back up to the stitch simulator, and now you notice that there's large blocks of colors. So when we run through it, you'll notice that the placement for the batting, the tack down, of the batting of the fabric, all of those steps are all done at the same time for each of the 4 blocks. And that's exactly what we want. Now that we have the background quilting color sorted and ready to go, it's time to work on the bees. Click our second tab to open the page where we pasted our 4 bees. The first thing we need to do before color sorting is to remove the box around each of the bees. This is the placement line, and we already have that on our background quilting design. We'll go to the right hand side where all the steps are listed, and we'll click the first bee and open up so we can see each step. You'll notice step 1 and 2 are the boxes that surround the bee. Select the first box and click delete on your keyboard, and select the second box and delete from your keyboard, and we'll do that for each of the bees. So color sorting these bees are going to be a little bit more time consuming than the quilting backgrounds. And the reason that is because there's a lot of the same colors used. For example, if we open these bees up, the head is the default color shadow. It's like a black color. Well, if we go down in the same design, here's the stripes of the bee that's also in shadow, but it's the first and the last step of the design, and those can't be done at the same time. There has to be many steps in between, so we need to change some of these colors or it's not going to be sorted correctly. So the easiest thing to do is to go through and make each step its own color. So if the head is the shadow color, that's fine. The head's going to be the same in each of the 4 bees, and that's okay. That's what we want. Then the next item is the wing placement, and that's fine for blue. But you'll see down here there's another default blue, and that's something that we don't want. So let's keep going down. So we have a shadow, and then we have a blue, and then we have the fill for the wings, and that's the linen color, and that's fine because that's just used the first time here. Now there's a linen too, and I'm going to change that because I'm not quite sure if that's going to cause a problem with the color sorting since it's the same. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and then go down to the color box where it has the name. And then I'm just going to pick any color. It doesn't even have to be the same color that you want because you'll put your own colors in. I'm just going to use this bright green. I'm going to go to OK. So now you'll notice that we've got shadow, a blue, a linen, and the chartreuse. Well, in order to get all 4 of the wings to do the placement line at the same time, they all have to be the same color. So we'll go to the next bee. We'll go down to the linen 2 that we changed. We'll click it. We'll click on the color and we'll hit our chartreuse. We'll go down to B3, do that linen 2, go to chartreuse, okay, and one more, linen 2, chartreuse, okay. So now all the same step have the same color. Okay, let's go back up to the B1. So we've done the chartreuse color with the wings. Now the next is the placement for the 3D wings. And you can see it has a default blue. Well, we have a default blue up at the top, and we can't have those done at the same time. So this is another one we need to change. So click on that. We'll click on the blue, and we'll just pick the one, we'll just pick this robin's egg blue. Doesn't matter what color. So this is step 5. So we'll go to step 5 of the next bee. Hit robin's egg, hit OK. Go to B3, step 5, robin's egg. The last one, robin's egg. So now those are all the same. Go back up to the first bee. And now we are to this. It's hard to see on here, but it's a little tack down of the 3D wings. And so there's no default orange. So we can leave this as a default orange because it hasn't been used before. So that's fine. The next is the placement for the body, and it's back to that default blue, which again we used way up here. So we need to change that. So we'll click it, and we can't use the robin's egg because we just used that. So we'll go up and let's use this aqua color. Again, it doesn't matter what the color is. It doesn't have to match what your design is actually going to be. It just needs to be a different color so the machine knows to stop. So we'll go down to step 7 of the next bee. Click that aqua. B3. Aqua. And the last bee, aqua. Okay, we'll go back up to B1. So here's the last one that we did. This step is the tack down of the body, and it's the orange, and we've used the default orange. So that's another one that we need to change. So we'll click on that one, and let's pick Valentine. That's step 8, so go down to B2, Valentine, 3, Valentine, and 4, Valentine. Now the next step is the decorative outline for the body, and that's Buttercup, and we haven't used Buttercup up here, so we can leave that for all 4 bees. We've come to the last step, which is the stripes on the bees, and this is that shadow color that we used way up at the very first step, so we have to change that or it won't color sort right. So let's hit this one and let's change it. Let's just change it to royal. Okay, so go to the next bee to the very last step of the stripes and hit royal. The third bee and then the last bee. Now, of course, if you wanted to do the correct colors, if you wanted the correct colors to show up on your screen, that's fine. You can actually change the colors to the correct colors that you're using, but you don't have to. That's totally optional. So we've changed all the colors and we're pretty sure that it's right. So let's come up to utility and then color sort. Yep, so it changed by 30 colors. So down here we started at 40 and we've taken out 30. So we now have 10 steps. But always, just in case you didn't do something in the right order, always do a new view. If you were to click save it, it would save this page. And if for some reason you accidentally changed one of the colors wrong or forgot to change one, you would have to completely start over. And that's a lot of work. So make sure that you always do a new view. So we'll hit new view. And now we've got another page up here. And this is our new page. If we click on here, 2 was our bees that we just did all the changes. You see how we have the 4 separate bees over to the right hand side. If we go to this last tab, you'll see now it's just one combined file. And there, hopefully we did it right. They'll all be the right in correct order. So let's see. Click the stitch simulator. That's a good sign we've got big blocks of color. So let's run through so you can see it's doing the head. So it's doing all the heads of the 4 bees. Then it will do all the placement lines for the wings, the fill stitches for the wings for all 4. Then it will do the outline of the wings. Then it's the little placement line for the 3D wings that we did earlier. Then the tack down, then the body, then the decorative stitch for the body, and then finally the little stripes and chevrons of the body. So that's exactly what we want. Now, since this is one design, you can click and you can see it's just they're all one design, so you can't change them around, which is why it was important when we copied and pasted that we don't move the bees or the background quilting, or they're not going to line up. So now we've selected and we can copy. We'll go back up to the tabs and we'll go back to our design that has the 4 background quilting. And you can tell by the right hand corner that this is just one design. So that's our merged file. And then we'll right click and paste. And I'll paste exactly in the same spot. So they'll be right in the center of each of those background quiltings. And then if you wanted to run this, you can start and you can see how it's doing each step. And that's exactly how we want it. It will be less color changes, less time, just everything. And you'll look down in the right hand corner and there's only 13 color changes or 13 stops, not necessarily color changes, but the machine will stop 13 times versus I think we had like 48 plus 20 of the design. So like 60 changes that we had before we combine these into one file. So now we need to go up to File, save stitch file as. We'll name our file, and then we'll save it in our combined files folder, because whenever we combine a file in Embrilliance and we merge files together, it's easier for me to put them in a file folder that's just files that have been combined. But if you find a way that works easier for you, of course you can do it however it makes sense and is easier for you. And then we'll click save. And we're all ready to put this onto our USB and take it to our machine and stitch out our 4 bee blocks. Now the last thing to do is close these files. If you wanted to save just these 4 bees without them being on the quilting background, but you wanted the 4 bees merged, you could go ahead and save this file. I'm not going to, because I wouldn't use these 4 in this exact size without the background quilting, so I'm going to say don't save because I've already saved the other one. This file is the 4 bees that are separate, so you can move them separate, and I don't want to save those because I've got the original bee. So on this one, I'm just going to say don't save. And then the same with the 4, if you look on the right hand side, these are 4 separate designs that we just brought in. I don't want to save those. I have the originals and I don't need those 4 together. So I will close this and not save those. And here is the file that I saved in our combined files folder. So I don't need to save this because it's already been saved. After I load the design, I will move the design down to the bottom of the hoop so it will save on stabilizer, and it will be towards the bottom of the strip of muslin. Now that the 4 bees are done, I will cut them from the end of the muslin strip. And I'll cut the 4 blocks apart. I will remove the basting stitch from around the blocks, and then I will trim the muslin as close to the batting line to get rid of the excess muslin before we seam the blocks together. The background quilting designs that I use to have some stitching that goes into the seam lines. I won't be able to get all of the muslin out, but we will get as much as we can so it lessens the bulk when we sew them together. I'll press the blocks and then I'm ready to cut them to size. You can see here that the box around the bee looks like the basting stitches, but the basting stitches were removed and this box around the bee is actually part of the background quilting. I will use this box as a guideline when trimming the block to size.